The scanner beeps red twice before it beeps green. You are the reason the line behind you has stopped moving, and the man in the reflective vest 2 carts back sighs in a way that is not loud but is meant to be heard. It is 5:51 in the morning at a distribution center outside Dayton, Ohio, and your shift starts at 6 o'clock, and the clock on the wall rounds down, never up. You badge in. $14.20 an hour. You walk to Bay 9 past the tape lines on the concrete that tell your feet where a body is allowed to be. Somewhere above you, a screen tracks how many packages each person scans per hour, and your name is on it, and your name is not near the top. This is your life at every level of the number that everyone says will fix you. You will climb it from this floor. Here is every floor. Level 1, the floor. You are 22 years old, and the job is not the problem. The job is the only thing in your week with edges. You scan, you lift, you route. You go home to an apartment in Trotwood you share with a man named Devin, who works nights, so you have never once been awake in the same room at the same time. Rent is your half of $900. You have $410 in a checking account and a debit card that has been declined at a gas station in front of a woman you were trying to impress, and you have decided, quietly, that this will not be the whole story. Your mother cleans rooms at a Fairfield hotel for $11 an hour and has done it for 26 years, and when you were 9, she taught you the one piece of financial advice she owned, which was that $1 you keep is worth more than $1 you earn, because nobody can tax it or take it or talk you out of it after it is already yours. You believed her. You will spend the next 25 years building an argument against her, and at the end of the 25 years you will discover she was right, and that the discovery cost you $462 million to make. The thing you are good at is not lifting. It is the map. The floor supervisor, a heavyset man named Gary, who has worked here 19 years and calls everyone chief, hands out the pick routes on paper every morning, and the paper is wrong. It sends you to the far wall and back for 2 items that sit 40 feet apart. You start redrawing your own route on the back of the sheet with a golf pencil. Your numbers go up, not by a little. By enough that Gary notices, and instead of thanking you, he asks you to fix the sheet for the whole bay. You do it for free for 11 weeks. You do it because the problem is more interesting than the 1420. Nobody tells you that the most valuable thing you own at 22 is the specific irritation you feel at a system that is stupider than you are. Gary gives you a raise of 40 cents, $14.60 an hour. You do the arithmetic on the walk to your car, which is a 2004 Cavalier with 190,000 miles and a passenger window that no longer rolls down, and 40 cents across a 40-hour week across 50 weeks is $800 a year, and $800 a year is what your improvement is worth to a company that saves that much in diesel before lunch. You are not angry. You are taking notes. The floor teaches you a thing that no classroom would have, which is exactly how much a person can be worth to a machine and still be paid by the hour, and the size of the gap between those two numbers, and whose pocket the gap goes into. Level 2. The first yes. You are 25 years old, and you have taught yourself to write code in the 90 minutes between the end of your shift and the moment your eyes close. Not well, well enough. You have built a small, ugly program that takes a list of delivery stops and puts them in the order that wastes the least fuel, which is the same thing you were doing with a golf pencil, except now it does it in 4 seconds for 200 stops. You do not have customers. You have one customer. A regional bakery called Kessler's that runs 6 vans across the Miami Valley delivering bread to grocery stores before dawn. You find them because your cousin drives for them and complains about the routes at Thanksgiving. You email the owner, a woman named Renata Kessler, and offer to save her fuel for $400 a month, and she says no. Then a diesel bill comes in 11% over budget, and she says yes. $400 a month. It is the first money you have ever earned that did not require your body to be in a specific building. Then Kessler's tells the man who runs a produce delivery route 2 towns over, and he pays you $350, and by the end of the year you have 5 customers and $2,100 a month coming in on top of the $1,460, and you keep both the shift and the software, because you have never in your life had the luxury of betting on yourself with nothing to catch you. You quit the distribution center the week the software income passes the wage income, which happens on a Friday in February. Gary shakes your hand and calls you chief and says he figured you were too smart for the floor, and you file the way he says it, because it is the first time anyone has used the word smart about you like it was a fact and not a joke. Renata Kessler sends a card. Inside it she has written, in careful cursive, that her father started the bakery with 1 van, and that she knows what the first van looks like, and that yours has arrived. You keep the card. You do not keep many things. Level 3. The hire. You are 27 years old and you have 11 customers, all of them small, all of them fleets. Nobody in San Francisco would ever bother to build software for. A florist network in Columbus, a medical courier in Cincinnati, a company that delivers propane. Your revenue is $19,000 a month, and you are working 90 hours a week to hold it together. And one Tuesday, you fall asleep at a red light on Wayne Avenue and wake to a horn and understand that you are the bottleneck now, not the roots. You hire your first employee. Her name is Priya Anand, and she is a support engineer you find through a forum where she has been answering strangers' questions for free, the way you once redrew Gary's sheet for free, which is how you know. You cannot really afford her. You pay her $68,000, and you pay yourself $31,000, and for the first 3 months, the account balance after payroll is a number you check the way you would check that a door is locked. The office is a single room above a dry cleaner off 3rd Street. It smells like steam and chemical lavender. The rent is $650, and the heat does not reach the corner where Priya sits, so you buy a space heater from a hardware store for $29, and you will remember that $29 longer than you will remember sums 1,000 times larger, because it was the first time you spent money to take care of a person who was counting on you. The propane company nearly ends you. They are your largest account, $4,100 a month, and one December the routing sends 2 trucks to the same rural county and leaves an entire township cold for a day. And the owner, a man named Doyle, calls you at 5:40 in the morning and does not raise his voice, which is worse than if he had. You drive to Hillsborough yourself. You sit in his cramped office with the wood paneling and you do not make excuses, because the floor taught you that a man who runs toward the thing he broke is trusted twice as fast as a man who explains it. You fix the bug in the truck cab on a laptop balanced on your knees. Doyle stays your customer for 9 more years. Priya tells you later she almost quit that week, that she thought the company would fold, and that the reason she stayed was that you drove to Hillsborough instead of sending an email. You did not know you were being watched. You are always being watched by the people who decide whether to bet their careers on you, and they are keeping a ledger you never get to see. Level 4. The Round. You are 29 years old, and a man named Tom Bregler flies to Dayton, which venture capitalists do not do, and takes you to the nicest restaurant in the city, which is not very nice, and orders a bottle of wine that costs more than your space heater and your desk combined. He has found you the way money finds things that are working before the things that are working know they are worth finding. Your revenue is $400,000 a month now. You have 40 customers. You have not slept a full night in 2 years. He offers you $6 million for a piece of the company. The number is so large and so unreal that you do the thing you learned on the floor, which is to not react, to keep your face the flat gray of the concrete, while inside you, the whole architecture of your life is being rebuilt. $6 million. On paper, the company is now worth 30. On paper, you, personally, the man who was declined at a gas station, are worth $11 million. You almost do not take it. For 3 nights, you sit at the kitchen table with a legal pad and write out what $6 million buys and what it costs. And the cost is control, because Bregler's firm gets 2 seats on a board that did not exist the week before. And a board is just a new set of people who can tell you where a body is allowed to be. But the money is not for you. The money is for the 11 engineers you cannot afford to hire and the enterprise contract with a national courier that will die on the vine if you stay a company run out of a room above a dry cleaner. You take it because staying small has stopped being humble and started being cowardly, and you have never once been able to forgive cowardice in yourself. You sign the papers in a lawyer's office in a tower downtown. The lawyer is named Patricia, and she is expensive and worth every dollar. And she says one thing across the polished table that you carry for years. The people who lose everything are never the ones who read the documents. They are the ones who were too excited to. You read every page. You wire Priya a bonus of $40,000 the same afternoon, unprompted, because she was in the cold corner when there was nothing to give. She calls you and does not say thank you. She says, "Are you okay?" And you realize you do not have an answer, and you file that you do not have an answer, and you tell yourself you will find one when you have time, and you will not have time for 5 more years. Level 5. The headline. You are 31 years old, and a website that decides which companies matter has decided yours does. The headline uses your name. It uses the word visionary, which is a word for a person who sees things, and you have started to notice that you cannot see the people directly in front of you anymore. You are worth, on paper, somewhere near $200 million, a number that changes by tens of millions while you sleep and means nothing you can hold. Your father calls to say he saw the article. He worked 34 years at a stamping plant and retired with a pension and a bad shoulder. And he says he is proud, and there is something underneath the word proud that you cannot name and do not ask about, because you are on your way to an airport. You will replay this call. You do not know yet how many times. You try to give him money. You offer to pay off the house in Kettering, the one you grew up in. $31,000 left on a mortgage that a man worth $200 million could clear before the coffee cooled. He says no. He says it kindly, and he says it with a flatness you recognize because it is your flatness, the gray of the concrete, and it is the first time you understand where you learned it. He tells you he would rather owe the bank $31,000 that he earned the standing to owe than take a gift that turns his own house into a thing his son bought him. You do not understand this at 31. You will understand it completely at 35, standing in a kitchen in the dark, and by then there will be no one left to tell. The company is 240 people now. You have an office with real heat and a floor of engineers and a chief operating officer named Marcus Feld, who you hired away from a competitor for $300,000 a year. And you have stopped being able to name everyone, which bothers you more than you admit, because you remember when the entire company was you and Priya and a space heater. You fly 90,000 miles that year. You eat most of your dinners over a laptop in airport lounges that all look like the same lounge. You are healthier by every measure a doctor would use, and you have not felt the specific animal calm of a full night's sleep since you were 29. Hannah is the woman you have been with for 3 years. She is a pediatric nurse, and she makes $71,000 a year, and she has watched you become a headline. One night in the kitchen of the house you now own outright, she says a sentence you will keep. I don't need you to be worth $200 million. I need you to be at the table when the food is on it. You are not at the table. You are in the garage on a call with Singapore. You hear her, the way you hear a smoke alarm in another room, and you go back to Singapore, and this is the level where the enemy of the whole story first shows its face, and the enemy is not poverty, because poverty is gone. The enemy is the belief that the number is almost high enough to stop. You are wrong about the number. You have been wrong about the number since the golf pencil. You just have not run out of number yet. Level 6. The comma. You are 34 years old, and it happens in a conference room with bad carpet at 2:10 on a Wednesday afternoon. A larger company buys yours. The deal values what you built at $1,100 million, and after the earlier rounds and the dilution and the vesting, the portion that is yours, personally, cleared and wired and real, is $462 million. There is a second comma now, where for 34 years there was never even a first one that stayed. You expect a wave. You have been told your whole life, by every story ever told about this exact moment, that there will be a wave. The lawyers slide the signature pages across the table. Someone has brought a bottle of something cold. Priya, who is now worth $29 million herself, catches your eye across the room, and she is crying, and you are not. You are waiting for the wave. You had planned for this day the way other people plan weddings. Not the deal, the feeling. You had imagined it at 22 on the concrete, and at 25 over the 90-minute nights, and at 29 across Bregler's table, a specific arrival, a door opening onto a room where the anxiety finally stops, and you had told yourself that the room was real and that the only thing between you and it was a number with the right count of zeros. 462 million of them arrive. The door is painted on the wall. There was never a room behind it. There was only ever the wall, and you painted the door yourself at 22, because a boy on a distribution center floor needed somewhere to be walking toward. It does not come. You sign your name, which is the same name that was low on a screen above Bay 9, and the pen is out of ink halfway through, so they hand you another one. And the whole event, the largest financial event that will ever happen to you, takes about as long as scanning a pallet used to take. You go outside. It is a normal gray Ohio afternoon. A man is eating a sandwich on a bench. You have $462 million and the exact same amount of whatever it is you drove to that conference room hoping to buy. Not less, the exact same amount, which is the cruelest possible result, because less you could have argued with. Level 7. The nothing. You are 35 years old, and you are awake at 4:14 in the morning in a house with 9 rooms, most of which you do not enter, and you are counting them the way you once counted $410, except there is nothing left to count. The money is done rising. It sits in accounts managed by people you pay to manage it, and it grows on its own, indifferent to you, the way weather grows, and you have finally arrived at the top of the ladder to discover the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall the entire climb, and no amount you add to the top moves the wall an inch. Hannah is asleep down the hall. She stayed, which you did not entirely deserve, and there is a child now, a daughter named Wren, who is 14 months old and who does not know or care that her father is worth almost $500 million, and whose entire economy is your face appearing over the crib. She is the only creditor you have ever had who cannot be paid in the currency you spent your life accumulating. She wants the one thing that has no comma: your attention, your Tuesday, the you that is not a headline. Your father died 8 months ago. The thing underneath the word proud, you understand now, was that he had wanted the exact same thing from his own father, the money's ghost, the promise that the next raise or the next rank or the next comma finally makes a man arrive. It does not. It never once did. He worked 34 years for a pension, and you worked 12 for $1 billion, and both of you spent the whole time facing the wall, and you would give the second comma back, all of it, Cleared and wired and real. For one more of the ordinary Sundays you kept postponing until the number was high enough. The number was never going to be high enough. That was the only thing the number was ever trying to tell you. You go down to the kitchen in the dark. You do not turn on the light. Somewhere in a box in the closet upstairs, there is an old laminated badge from a distribution center outside Dayton with a photo of a 22-year-old who was declined at a gas station and decided quietly that this would not be the whole story. He was right. It was not the whole story. It was, it turns out, most of the good part. Ren stirs on the monitor. It is 4:14 in the morning, and you have everything the boy on the badge was climbing toward, and you stand in your own dark kitchen holding a warm cup you do not remember making, and you cannot honestly tell whose life this is, or when exactly you agreed to trade the one you had for it.